Hello and thank you for joining us at Data Cloud Europe 2015 in Monaco. My name's Stephen Pritchard. Our guest now is Erwin van der Plas from Siemens, and you are looking after data center solutions for EMEA at the company. Tell us a little bit about your vision for the 21st century data center firstly, Erwin.
You can look at data center in different ways. Traditional ways, of course, to look at it from an IT perspective, that's still correct. You can look at it also from, let's say, a complex building perspective. I think that now data centers really have become the factories of the century. I mean, these are really not data centers anymore, but data plants. It's in fact raw data coming in, processing data, and then shipping the refined data, so to end users. And that's an interesting perspective, because also I think there is still a lot of innovation, let's say, that we could also implement in data center, which can also, let's say, improve the efficiency.
So you're looking at this as a process, information comes in and a product comes out. Give us some examples of the challenges that creates for IT departments, in particular for CIOs.
Yes. Well, I think a lot of automation, of course, has been done already on the IT side, virtualization and other kind of techniques, that's great. And you see much more dynamic behavior, of course, so agility on that side. On the other side, the facility, the power and cooling, so it's quite straightforward. So I think the challenge is, of course, let's say, how to make the whole data center more, let's say, dynamic. And in that respect, I think automation is a key factor. And that's also why I make this reference to other industries, And so I think also a strategy on automation should be a top-down approach and not necessarily like today connecting systems together, So I think that's a big challenge for data center, and that's where I believe, let's say, also our company Siemens has a lot of experience from other markets, which we can also introduce into data centers.
So how important do you think DCIM is now, and do you think that also people make the most use of the tools that are there?
The whole hype, let's say, of DCIM the last 2 years is interesting. That also shows the need of integrating IT with the facility, of course. On the other hand, we should watch out, of course, that we are not just closing another gap and taking data from another system, shifting that to another platform, and not having achieved anything more. So again, DCM is fine. We do have, of course, our solutions from our company, but it also should fit in a total strategy for automation, and not just, let's say, be another tool, let's say, hoping that then the efficiency suddenly will improve. So that's an important view, I think. So at the end of the day, it's all about, not the different systems, but about, let's say, complete strategy, complete way of how to do automation on a data center, and not just from the IT perspective of a facility, but as a whole approach.
From an IT director's point of view or a data center manager's point of view, can you have too much information?
Well, probably not. I mean, the more information you have, the more able you are, of course, so to take the right decisions. But it also will impact, of course, the organization, So I think today, probably also in data centers, once you're putting all this information together and providing more information to the operators, there's probably also some work to be done on how to operate data center. So not a silo operation, so with different disciplines, but of course people that can take full responsibility of a data center. And then, of course, the more information they will have, the better, of course, they can manage a data center.
Well, that's the key, isn't it? Because it's only useful having the information if you change the way you operate as a result of having the information.
Well, exactly, because I mean, providing more information, but at the end of the day, if people are not using that, it would not make sense. Of course, even a better way would be, of course, to close the loop. So I think it's good to provide more management information, but still, let's say, on that automation level, we have to make sure that we also can close the loop to avoid also, let's say, human interaction. So, and of course, and also eliminate human mistakes. If you compare, for instance, data centers with mission critical, let's say, plants, power plants, or other factories, I mean, there you see what automation has done already. So at the end of the day, it's not so much manual or let's say human interaction anymore. A lot of things are pre-programmed. So it's only human beings are there when things are really going wrong. So there in data centers, I think there's still a way to go in the next couple of years. It's not about maybe new technologies, but it's about existing technologies applying also for data centers.
Where do you think we are in terms of best practice in the industry, and how much more do we need to do?
Well, it's difficult to predict because, I mean, if you simply look back, let's say, what has happened already in data centers, we started like, yes, okay, we need power and cooling, let's say, to power and to cool, of course, our servers. Today, let's say, a lot of things have been done, So I think also the industry is very motivated. You see that also here in Monaco is really motivated, let's say, to go to best practices, But it's always a balance, of course. You know, you can use high-tech technology, you know, but it's always the balance. Like, does it make sense? What is it bringing today? But yeah, I think, let's say, in the next, I would say, 2 to 5 years, we'll still see tremendous, let's say, new ideas coming up and new applications also for data centers, for sure.
And what would you say the biggest challenges are facing the industry at the moment?
There are a lot of challenges, of course. It can be power, it can be, let's say, a lot of other changes, of course, yeah, so multi-site operations and so on and so on. Probably two big, let's say, challenges I see is that, first of all, agility. Yeah? So you see that dynamic behavior in data center, you know, is coming up very much, you know, software-defined data centers. So how to cope with that, of course, let's say a data center can be too small or let's say too big, yeah? How to cope with that on the facility side. So that's a big challenge to make the whole data center, of course, yeah, so more like one dynamic, let's say, operation. That's one thing. And at the same time, there is also quite a span between the life cycle of the IT equipment, the IT assets, which is typically something like 2 years. So, you know, every 2 years, you know, new servers might be coming in. And on the other hand, you have a building, you have, let's say, here the facility, power and cooling, which typically has a life cycle of something like 10 to 15 years. Combining this life cycle, let's say, maintenance and operation of data center is quite a challenge. Yeah? So to make sure that the data center is always, let's say, fit for purpose. If you're a startup, let's say, with connecting systems, yeah, so connecting it up, you know, that will become very complicated throughout the life cycle of a data center. So there also our new platform, the ZegoCC, is one platform which really, let's say, can offer the complete functionality to do the automation in a data center.
But do you still feel that the conventional data center has a role to play in the cloud computing environment that a lot of CIOs now operate in?
At the end of the day, cloud means somewhere, let's say physically, let's say there should be a data center or a server which is located in a data center. We still will need the power, we'll still need, of course, somewhere the building. Cloud makes it, of course, more interesting, let's say, again, let's say agility is there the topic, of course, today, but still, let's say, power will be needed and cooling will be needed, yeah, so we just have to see where then, of course, this will be located. Also, of course, connection to the grid, you know, I mean, if we are changing, let's say, the applications more in the cloud, also the power will shift, let's say, from one country to another country, yeah, so the whole dynamic behavior, also the interaction with the data center, I think that's an interesting topic also to cope with.
So a lot we could look at. Erwin van der Plas from Siemens, thank you very much.
With pleasure.